Attention fitness facility owners and general managers, this episode is for you. Do you really know what your members want? Are you losing them to a competitor because their needs aren't being met? Well, according to today's industry expert, having the right technology in place is going to help meet your members' needs so your retention numbers grow. Stay tuned for another educational episode from the Fitness Business Podcast. New to the Fitness Business Podcast? Well, thank you for joining me today and welcome to the FBP family. When I was at the URSA conference this past June, I met so many fitness professionals that said, I'm a loyal listener to the podcast. I want you all to know how grateful I am for your support and for coming back each week. Thank you, FBP family. I am your weekly host, Dory Nugent, and today on the show, industry veteran Kevin McHugh talks about technology in your fitness business. Kevin is the Chief Operating Officer for the Atlantic Clubs, along with being a board member for the Medical Fitness Association and National Health and Fitness Alliance. I am thankful to have Kevin join us today as he shares his insight on how important it is to have the right technology in place for the success of your fitness business. Today's episode will start in a few short minutes. First, a huge thank you to MyZone for supporting our show. MyZone has pioneered unique wearables with talking point technology that makes the difference. Reach more members of your community and keep them engaged for longer through motivation and gamification wherever they choose to work out. In the gym, at home, or outdoors, we're stronger together. Get in the zone at myzone.org. Newsflash! Did you know that MyZone has added additional levels to their Hall of Fame status? Well, check it out at www.myzone.org.
Get your pen ready now for Keep Me's Fit Bizpiration.
Kevin, I would love to hear what your 3 tips to embracing technology in our businesses as owners and staff.
Yeah, I think the first thing is involve all areas in the decision process. You may know what you want to do, and you may have every reason in the world to do it, but you need to get buy-in from all levels. You do it for what's best for the business, but also understand that you need to get buy-in for that and time. The second is be sure that it's going to really positively impact your business and not just something that maybe somebody else is doing. Make it a real individual business choice and not an ego choice sometimes, because sometimes we can go in that direction. And it needs to be top down, but you really need not to dictate technology. You need to enroll it. And I do believe that it's an exciting time, it's a challenging time, but I think one of the things with this time in our lives in fitness is we need to be much more of a team that works together versus very high top down.
Next week's show brings a little girl power. Kelly Coulter will be joining me on the mic, and she will be ready to discuss building a ready-to-buy community around your in-club programs. Kelly is the founder of Fit Pros Connect, and she's a fitness business building mentor. To learn more about Kelly, stay tuned for the Quickfire 5 segment sponsored by Hapana.
Health club leaders, you work hard to ensure your members have the very best fitness experience, right? You need personal trainers who do the same. Become a preferred partner with ISSA, and we'll deliver the best trainers in the industry to your club in a matter of days, fully certified and ready to work. And we'll help you keep those trainers by offering them exclusive discounted pricing on ISSA certifications. Because when your trainers stay, so do your valued members. Becoming a preferred partner with ISSA is absolutely free. Click above or visit issaonline.com/fitbiz to get trainers now.
You have been so patient. Thank you. Now, let's get started with today's episode. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Fitness Business Podcast. I'm your host, Dory Nugent, and today I have with me Kevin McHugh. Kevin is the Chief Operating Officer of the Atlantic Clubs. Please welcome Kevin to our episode.
Hello, Dory. Glad to be here.
Thank you so much, Kevin. We're super excited to have you on today. You wear a big hat at your club.
Yes, been here 30 years, and we've got quite a business where we have 13 different businesses in the Atlantic Club, which is challenging from a technology standpoint. We were, before COVID, about 67% ancillary and 33% membership. After COVID and working back, we're probably 85% ancillary and 15% membership. So we want to get back up to that 70-30 number.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you said it, 30 years in the business. This is exactly why we wanted to have you on our episode. We were like, he is a must-have. And I think the first question is perfect for you with those 30 years experience. And that is, we have seen the product of fitness evolve from the Greeks until today, right? But in the experience that you have, how have you seen the fitness business evolve?
Sure. So when you take a look at how it started, when I take a look at the technology part of business in the fitness industry, we had a technology system that was built around not what your business needed, but you needed to build your business around the technology. And I remember very early on, because I didn't come from this industry, I came from consumer goods prior to the health and fitness industry. I remember asking, a couple of questions. And one of the questions in phase one, where I was talking about you had to make your system, your business work to the system, was, I don't know if it's true, maybe it's a rumor that's not true, but I heard the reason that aerobic classes are 60 minutes versus 45 is because the computer could only work in 60-minute segments. So if you were going to book a aerobic class back in 25, 30 years ago, it had to be 60 minutes. Was that the right number scientifically? Or was it because that's what the computer said? So phase one was you had to make sure that your system had to work, not because of the business, but because of what the technology was. Then we came down to saying, okay, we're tired of that. And we became very non-compliant. And we said, we're gonna make computers work for us and technology work for us based on our business model. And so we heard things like data warehouses, and everything can talk with each other, and you should get best of breed technologies. And what we found out was it was a great concept, but the time it wasn't working, because although there was data warehouses early on, and although things could talk to each other supposedly, they really didn't do it very well. And so you wound up having major burdens on your finance and IT groups. You weren't able to get the information you were looking for, and your expectations were very much drowned by the fact that you thought you were told by the supplier that they could do these things, but really they couldn't. And then the new thing came into, how do you build a technology based on what the services are, and realizing that you do have to change. And so a lot of clubs, operators like us, and said, well, change is not easy. We have people that have been doing this type of process for 25 years or 20 years or 15 years. They're not going to want to change. But in this phase, we said, are our business processes really the best they could be? Or are we asking technology to help us improve or not improve a current process, instead of looking at the process and improving it and using technology? And I think that's really what's happened in the last 10 years is we've really come to the part of, yes, technology has to help us, but we have to make sure that we're working with technology, because we can't have standalone processes. And just because the Atlantic Club thinks that they're the best and wants to do it this way, and 150 other clubs are doing it the same exact way, a different way, maybe we had to look at, are we really the best at what we do? Or, how do we get that information from other supplier, other like businesses? So I do think that we created in the last 10 years a much better platform for technology. And I think what we're in now is, how do you really find out what the customer wants and what the customer is interested in, instead of us telling them what we have? And so I think that COVID has done that for us. We realized that we were an antiquated industry in a lot of areas. We weren't offering what the members wanted. We weren't offering what the customers wanted. People took business away from us. And a lot of us, when we reopened, were a completely different business than we were before. And that's really where, for example, Keep Me, we bought before COVID. We never launched it because we bought it right before, we bought it in January. COVID happened in March. And then it took us a year and a half before we actually were able to bring in Keep Me. But we found out with Keep Me that we had to change a lot of processes before we could bring Keep Me in. And we feel that we're a much better company for it.
Perfect. Well, I love the cycles that you just took us through. And speaking of cycles, obviously we're entering into a new cycle. Yeah. What adjective would you describe the new cycle that you think we're going to be moving into? Would you say it's exciting? Would you say it's nerve-wracking? What word would you choose?
Challenging. I would say challenging because I think you can look at it globally and have a global view of it. But then what we have to realize is that global view that I might have, I have to make that work for the person that's actually executing it. And so it can't be, I'm really excited about having Keep Me, and the team that's executing it doesn't buy into it. So I think one of the things early on is that it has to start from the top, but it's got to be bought in and enrolled at the lowest levels of execution. I'm not saying lowest levels by saying to the sales teams the lowest level, but they are the executors of this, and our marketing team is the executors of this. So I think we have to make it actionable.
You mentioned the word Keep Me already, so I'm going to try to weave that into my next question, because we all know that COVID kind of pushed along the tech age. So what examples of softwares have you seen that allow more automated communication strategies with members? And I'm going to assume that you're going to talk a little bit here about Keep Me.
Sure. Well, Keep Me is one of them. We've tried several, and several didn't work. Now, that's not saying that they're bad products. It just didn't work for us. And they have worked for others. We had a a program with Club Automation with artificial intelligence where we had a fake person that was doing the AI for our prospects. We tried that. Some people are still using it. We used it for about a year. It just didn't work for us. It was not that it was expensive. COVID hit, but we felt we wanted to have a little bit more AI that could also have a personal component to it. Then there's a very interesting one that we found, which has the best ROI. And I'm once again, I'll be totally transparent. I have nothing to do with this company, except that it was a tremendous find for us through a Rex Roundtable meeting that I was at. And it is with Integrity Square, and it's a widget. And the amount of leads that we've gotten for tennis, spa, membership, and from the outside public, there's been no better ROI than the widget that we have that ties into our website. And then when we talk about Keep Me, we look at Keep Me as replacing the other artificial intelligence that we were using, because we like the fact that it'll eventually, as we use it and load it, and it becomes more knowledgeable about our business, that it'll allow us to have the automated part that ties also into a personal accountability part. And that's really what we were looking for, is how do we keep our team personally accountable and more successful, but also have other things help them that's artificial intelligence based, so that they buy into it and it's not replacing them. So those are just three examples that I could use for you.
Yeah, they're great examples, very fitting for our conversation. So you mentioned already that the Atlantic clubs, they offer a full range of services. You mentioned swimming, you mentioned tennis. What about the customers who aren't members but still participate in the programs? How has technology helped you engage with them?
We have a long way to go on that. We have a very diverse business, as I mentioned to you. We have 25,000 different people buy a product from us every week on our campus. But membership, like I said, is a third of that. And so most of the transactions that we are doing are not with our members. So the tough part is, I have people that play tennis or people that go to the spa that feel that their information that they give us in tennis or their information they give us in the spa is private to that business. And they don't want to be, I hate the word hounded, but they don't want to be getting addressed by membership. They say, I came to Milagro Spa. I didn't come to the Atlantic Club. I don't care about the Atlantic Club membership. And the same thing with the tennis player. I play tennis. That's my exercise. I don't need to join a club. So what we need technology to do for us is we have these as hot leads in Keep Me, and we have them as don't even spend any time on them. And the key is for us to get our team to enter the information that allows us only to target people that would be interested in our products. The same thing with our membership. If they're not interested in tennis, but the spa, don't target them on tennis, only target them in the spa. So there great challenges and opportunities for us as we get to know those 25,000 people better. Absolutely. But it takes the time in each business unit to understand the importance that when they give us great information, we can avoid hitting people with things they don't care about. And so it's not a simple process. And out of 700 employees that we have on our campuses, there's a lot of buy-in that we're going to have. But it's important. It's an initiative in 2022, but it probably will be 2023 before we have, the time to really get the whole buy-in from everybody of how can this help the spa, but how can it help membership? How can it help, our personal training? And how can it help? Because we're targeting messages that they only care about. One last thing is that we have a very big medical fitness component, and we actually have a Cooper Wellness Center at the Atlantic Club. And that's a chronic disease and preventative care group. They're not members. It's pretty much open to the community. But I don't need to talk to a person about cancer that has arthritis. And the tough part is learning that whole technology, because the medical community has much more restrictions about who you can approach and how you can approach. And so technology is going to help us out with that.
For sure. Well, I really appreciate your honesty on that question or that answer. Perfect. I think a lot of our listeners can relate that are also dealing with the same issues in the large clubs.
Right.
So next question. Often owners love new software, right? So you talked about a year and a half, you sat with Keep Me before you launched. How did you get your team on board and to buy into Keep Me as the new software?
Well, I actually was once again, it came through a Rex associate. Okay. So we were talking about, it wasn't a presentation by Keep Me. It was a member of our roundtable that was talking about Keep Me and how they were using it for member retention. And so I said that sounds, very interesting. And then I got more information and I forwarded to our senior director who oversees the IT here. We had a presentation from Keep Me back, it's got to be 2 years ago. And it was exactly what we were looking for as a platform, because we wanted to have a stronger sales prospecting tool, and we also wanted to have a retention tool. So Keep Me gave us that opportunity. Some give you a great sales tool, some give you a great retention tool, but Keep Me was our choice because it gave us both. And this is, once again, I have nothing to do with Keep Me, except that's what we're using. And that's why we went into that direction. But the toughest part is we didn't get buy-in right away, because they were comfortable doing the prospecting the way they were doing it before. We could see that they could do a lot more business if they were able to implement the Keep Me processes, but we had a lot of change on that. And so it took us close to 6 months of constant training and approach. And so I can't say that we're 100% there right now after a year and a half. But I was talking to another member of my roundtable, and he asked me about Keep Me. And I said, well, it's starting to work fine, and he said, oh, I hate that when something's starting to work fine. But I do think that in today's world, you can't expect things to happen overnight. You've got to do the right vetting. You got to make sure you have the right product. And the buy-in is going to take time, because people have been in their roles for. Our sales team is very experienced here. Most of my sales team is, here for 15 years. 10 to 15 years. So they've been doing it a certain way. And Keep Me really forces you to change your paradigm on how to do your prospecting. Our goal is really to use Keep Me, not only to do that, but how do we get to retain our members better. And so there's a lot of learning and a lot of potential that Keep Me has for us at the Atlanta Club.
Working in the fitness industry myself for many, many, many years, it's funny. Some people shriek when you say the word, oh, we're going to do team building. And then other folks like myself, I would shriek when they say, we're getting new software, whether it was, front desk software, sales, retention software, whatever it may be. So I feel the pain of what it's like when the announcement comes out that you're getting all new software.
And sometimes owners can really get involved with taking on every software, and I've seen it. And so it becomes a flavor of the month. So they bring this product in because they saw it, and then a year later they get rid of it to go to another product. We try to stay away from flavor of the month. And, if we're going to make a commitment, we'll make a commitment.
Yes, right. Well, I think COVID did help a lot of business owners that were debating whether they should change any type of software. It was absolutely the perfect time to do. Absolutely. So speaking of the right product, you mentioned about, hey, you got to find the right product for you and your business. What would be a checklist an owner should use when evaluating what software that they might need for their business?
Well, the first thing is they should be analyzing their business of what it's going to be 5 years from now. Don't buy software for today, because your business better not be where it is in 5 years, what it is today. You have to have a futuristic look of what you want your business to be. I think that's number one, and not to get it for what you're doing today. You got to be patient and don't rush it. If it's going to take 6 months to truly implement it, not 2 months, then spend 6 months on it. Okay, it'll pay off dividends in the long term because you'll get the buy-in. You need to vet the product with others. Don't be a loner on this and think that you're going to be the superstar and you're going to do something that no one else has done. Take a look at other people that are using the software that you're using today. And I will warn, don't try to be the pioneer of a brand new software. We've done that in the past, and not only with software, but with fitness programs and things of that nature. Maybe give yourself a little time to see how it's being implemented. Don't be a laggard, but give it a little time. Ask some people how they see it. Get some input. There's a lot of really great people in the industry that will be very honest with you and transparent. I see that, and I also think that nothing is perfect. Any software that you're going to be getting is not going to be 100% adaptable to your current business. So don't expect perfection. But there's a saying. Shoot for the stars, but settle for the moon. So at least you're moving yourself forward, right? So I take a look at that, and I also would say, if you're going to go with a new software and you're going to be looking 5 years down the road, what systems have to change when you're bringing in that new software that aren't the same systems that you've been using for the last 5 years? So you want a new software, understand it's going to take new processes also, and that the people that are doing it may not all survive. I remember when we opened up about 20 years ago, we went from a salon to a very large day spa. Now, everybody in the salon wanted us to have this large day spa. The problem was that they were really good, some of them in the salon world, but when we got to the day spa business, which they wanted, a lot didn't survive because they couldn't do the changes that it was required to be a day spa versus a salon. And that's the same thing that will happen when you go to new technology. Even though a person may have been with you 15 years and they want all these changes, they may not be able to be the person that's going to be the person that's going to take you in the future. So just be aware that there could be some slippage, but if it's the right thing for the business and it can improve everybody's personal performance, then it's the right thing to do.
Good advice. I like that very much. And I do agree with you. Every business is unique. And with talking with many vendors in the software business, it is really hard for them to make one product that really tries to fit every single business because, what your club is like versus, the Newtown Athletic Club versus Club La Maison. They're all a little different. They're all run a little different. I mean, it's the same, but yet everybody has their own uniqueness.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I agree it's hard. And I also like that you just said, hey, not everybody's going to make it. Change is hard. And a lot of people, it's not that they can't adapt. What you agree, it's the fact they just don't want to change.
They don't, I think some of the people get to a point in their life and they say, I'll do something else. I wish you the best of luck, but that's not something I want to pursue. I don't want to learn anything new in that area. And so I'm going to, I appreciated my tenure here, but I'm going to move on. And then we wish them the best and we help them as much as we can. And, we want everybody to stay forever, but if they decide to leave, we'll help them find something.
So what did you think about Kevin's statement, you don't have to be a tech geek to make a great technology decision? Me personally, I loved that. Kevin's contact information will be posted on the show notes. Please feel free to reach out to him with additional questions or if you're looking for advice. After 30 years in the industry, I'm sure he can offer up some fantastic advice and guidance. In case you're wondering, the show notes can be found at www.fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. In 30 seconds, I'll introduce you to Kelly Coulter, who is next week's guest.
G'day, it's JT here, and I was talking to Blair McHugh, the CEO of one of our sponsors, MX Metrics, the other day, and I gave him a hard time about his company's tagline, defeating mediocrity. By definition, that means he's excluding the majority of the market. But Blair just wouldn't budge. He only wants to work with operators who want to punch mediocrity in the face, really smash it. So I've talked to a few of his customers, like Joe Shirelli from Gainesville Health and Fitness, and yeah, it's for real. While Joe is a nice guy, he isn't satisfied with mediocrity either. He's crushing it as well. So I'm still dubious about selling only to operators who want to defeat mediocrity. But if this resonates with you, I reckon you should check them out. Go to mxmetrics.com. But remember, only if you're interested in smashing mediocrity.
Quickfire 5, sponsored by Hapana.
As promised, here is next week's guest, Kelly Coulter from Fit Pro Connect. Hey, Kelly, you're coming onto the show next week. I'm excited, not only for myself, but for our listeners to learn a little bit about you in our Quick Fire 5. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Excited.
All right. Well, we're excited to hear the number one item on your bucket list.
So I have lots of travel bucket list items, but for my business, it is that to lead a revolution of individual fit pros who are working with their own niche audiences, helping them take control of their health and fitness.
Okay, question number 2. Out of everybody, alive, not alive, past, present, whose business brain would you love to pick if you had the opportunity?
I've got a few here, but they're all direct response marketers. And I'm really obsessed right now with Alex Hormozi, who wrote $100 Million Offers and Gym Launch Secrets. And he has an amazing brain around the business of fitness and direct response marketing put together. So Alex Hormozi, also Dan Kennedy, who wrote Magnetic Marketing, and he's another direct response marketer in the area of copywriting. I'm a little bit too nerdy, I think.
That's okay. That's all right. Everybody has their answers. Now, what is the most visited page on your website?
So, and actually, I used to own a marketing agency and do websites. And I always said that the second most visited page after your homepage is always going to be your about page, which people don't usually realize. But for me, it's a little bit different. The most visited besides the homepage is the Kickstart page, which is where I talk about my client creation Kickstart, which is a 2-day event that I do a couple times a year.
All right. Well, I definitely fall into that second click of the about me. I love to see who's behind the business or the staff. I love that. That's one of my favorite, probably my biggest second click after the homepage.
You know, people don't realize that it's going to be the second most visited page, but it really, really is, because everybody wants to know who are they working with. And we tend to think we need to look like a big business and be all professional, but really we need to look more like an individual.
Absolutely, for sure. All right, here we go. One of our favorite questions from our FBP family. Please recommend a book.
So I've got two. The first I already mentioned, $100 million offers by Alex Hormozi. Brilliant marketing brain, brilliant in the area of putting a product together that is so good that your audience would feel stupid for saying no. And then Profit First, because Profit First is an accounting system that just saves entrepreneurs' butts time and time again. It's all about putting money aside in other places besides your operating account so that your operating expenses don't take over your profit and your owner's pay. And so it's just brilliant. And I recommend that every entrepreneur read it.
Okay, good.
And that's Mike McHugh.
Mike McHugh. And finally, our last question. What would be one moment of next week's episode?
I think probably the realization that no one's looking at your business page on Facebook or Instagram and that you need to grow community through a group or other means besides your business page.
All right, everybody, join us next week as Kelly Coulter joins us for our full episode.
Hey, Fitness Business Podcast family, Sarah Pellegrino here, your host of The Value Proposition. 2022 is here, friends, and boy, do I have a stellar lineup of monthly episodes just for you. Each month, I'm bringing you an insightful conversation with a different supplier so you can learn the value they bring to the industry above and beyond their product or service. Don't miss this month's episode of The Value Proposition going live this Friday. You can download anywhere you listen to your podcast or from our website. You can watch the vodcast on our YouTube channel or from our website as well, fitnessbusinesspodcast.com.
Join me next week as Kelly Coulter delivers her expertise on building a ready-to-buy community around your in-club programs. Last week, I told you how easy it was to subscribe to the show so that the latest episode is delivered directly to you. Did you subscribe? If not, then head to your favorite podcast player and subscribe now to the Fitness Business Podcast. It's that easy. Thank you to our founding partner, Active Management, our partners, Keep Me, MyZone, Discover Strength, ISSA, and Hapana, as well as our advertisers, Rex Roundtables, MX Metrics, and Vaporfresh. We believe what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but woven into the lives of others.